money, motherfucker. Money be green. Money feel like money.
Which is the co-feature. Former guest of the show, Jason Moloney, is going to be in a vacant WBO Bantamweight title fight. Shantelle.
Jason Maloney versus Vincent Astrolabio. Jason Maloney, 25-2, 19 of those wins coming by way of knockout. And then you got Vincent Astrolabio, 18-3. On the money line, Maloney is a -140 and Astrolabio is a +110. So really, if you take a look at those odds and you take a look at that line, kind of a 50-50 fight is the way that Vegas is looking at this fight.
Ultimately, they favor Jason Maloney a little bit. I mean, there's a little bit of a history if you look at some Filipino fighters and their backgrounds or whatever the case may be, and you'll see like, oh, they have 2-3 losses, but they're all tough as shit. Like, people didn't know who Manny Pacquiao was, and people had written him off because he had a couple losses early on in his career. One where he was knocked out cold in particular.
Do you think this is the same thing for him?
No, I'm saying that it could be because if you look through Vincent Astrolabio's losses, you're like, wait, he lost to who? Like, one guy was a journeyman, 13-7. He was stopped in round 4. Is the only time Astrolabio's been stopped. And then he lost to another Filipino fighter who's also a journeyman, but also much better than his record says. 18-11-3, 4 knockouts. His name is John Mark. I'm going to try this last name.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
John Mark Apolinario. Look, some of the Filipino names are kind of like our names, but like not really.
Well, if you know the history of the Philippines, then you would know that they have a little bit of Spanish in them as well when you think about their history and everything. So, and a lot of Filipinos actually have Spanish last names as well. So
no, it's very true. And look, Astrolabio was knocked down in that fight, got back up. He lost, but he got back up, and that's the thing. Like, he's been knocked down a few times in his career. He's gotten back up a lot, right? His best win was probably against Guillermo Rigondeaux, or at least that's the one that's
terrible though, because Rigondeaux, when he fought Rigondeaux, like, that's not the same Rigondeaux that we saw in the past, right?
No, but in terms of for casual watchers who are just tuned into like the betting.
But for casual watchers, when you hear that name and you're like, oh my God, Rigondeaux, he fought Rigondeaux, it's not the same. Not the same guy that you've seen before, so don't get it twisted. Yeah.
I'm trying to give Astrolabio props here. That was in February 2022. Pretty even fight, and he dropped Rigondeaux in the 8th. And
surprise.
Clean unanimous decision, 95-94, all 3 judges. And yeah, I think and then he also had a win in December on the Michelle Rivera, Frank Martin card. But I think that ultimately Jason Maloney gets this done, and I'm not saying that because we interviewed him. I'm saying that because I actually think he gets this done. The books sort of back that up, right? He had a nice win against Nawafon Sorug Vasai last year. He also had a great knockout before that. And -140 on the money line is where I'm going to go, because I think both of these guys could crack. There'll be some banging a little bit. I don't know if it'll be a stoppage victory either way. The books seem to think that if it goes to the cards, it'll be a Jason Maloney fight. But if it's a knockout, it would more likely be Astrolabio, which is interesting because Maloney's only been stopped by Naoya Inoue, who stops damn near everybody. And he got the loss to Manny Rodriguez in Orlando, my Puerto Rican homie, who, listen, man, it was a split decision, and we'll leave it at that, right? So I'm rolling with Jason Maloney to win money line -140, but I am sprinkling on Maloney to get a knockout +380. Because I do think he gets at least a knockdown. And I think the body work that he displays early on in fights, that will definitely pay off here.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that you said that the books are leading towards Astrolabio to kind of have the knockout, but Jason Maloney has power too. I mean, out of his 25 wins, 19 of those are by knockout. So he definitely has pop. I think for Jason Maloney, though, for his pop, like when you're watching him fight, you're not like, ooh, it's not like Janibek where you can kind of hear it. But he definitely does have pop. And like you mentioned, been in the ring with Inoue, and you can't argue with him. Like, you know, he was the best in his class, and then he vacated his titles, is moving up. And that's why this fight, you know, for a title fight, and Jason Maloney, when he was on our show, he said, listen, I'm going to be a champ. You know, I'm going to be a champ again. And he also mentioned that now that this division is wide open, it gives him a lot of possibilities. You know, Maloney also on a 4-fight win streak. You mentioned that Manny Rodriguez fight. That was close as hell. Could have gone either way. But that's a name in this division that I don't think we should also sleep on. I think there's a very good chance that we get that Jason Maloney and Manny Rodriguez number 2.
Whew.
Right, we get the number 2 because you could argue that they possibly might be the best in the division right now. You know, also in that Inoue fight, Jason Maloney told us that his hand was hurt. Is that what he was saying? His hand was hurt.
He didn't want to blame it on the injury in his defense, but he did say that, you know, it was kind of like, look, the fight is offered, you have to take it. And even though he wasn't feeling, let's say 100%, the hand wasn't feeling 100%. He was like, listen, you're not going to turn down this type of opportunity. So,
exactly.
and he did acknowledge, like, look, even if he was 100%, in a way, might have beaten him anyway.
But in a way,
yeah,
he's the best bantamweight in the world for a reason, right? Knocking dudes
one
out
of the best ever, honestly.
Yeah, and you know what? If he does beat Cool Boy Steph, then how do you leave him off number 1 on the pound for pound list? That's another conversation for another time. This is about Jason Maloney, though. Okay, we can't get off topic. Maloney's more skilled than Astrolabio, I think. I also think he kind of has the power advantage. I know, and I say that because he's also been in the ring with better dudes. Right, yeah. He has the experience advantage. I love Maloney's timing, though, and I think he moves around the ring really well. And defensively, he's really good as well. Like, he's going to keep his high guard up in this one for Astrolabio. He does have some power as well that we can't sleep on. Like, it could be for Astrolabio, I think this could be a coming out party if he can't get it done for Jason Maloney. I think people are going to start talking about him a little bit more, but because he is part of Manny Pacquiao's team. He does have the size advantage in this one. He has the height and reach advantage. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jason Maloney moves around the ring. But I think in the footwork department, he actually has the edge in this one. But I think for Astrolabio, for him, he throws a flurry of shots. And when he lets his hands go, he lets his hands go. So Jason Maloney is going to have to take those hits. But I think when it comes to the chin department, I'm kind of giving it to Jason Maloney, actually, because he's fought tougher opponents. So I can only go with the experience on the resume. But I think in this fight, Maloney is going to have to try to outbox a guy like Astrolabio. And he's going to have to stick and move. That's going to have to be his game plan because Astrolabio does have power and you don't want to sleep on that. You don't want to get too overcommitted and get too comfortable in this fight because the guy does have power. I think Astrolabio is going to be trying to walk down Maloney and he's going to try to make him brawl a little bit. He's going to be loading up on his shots and he's going to try to get Maloney up and out of there. I think that's going to be his game plan coming into this one because he's not going to outbox a guy like Maloney. So I actually have this one going the full distance. And I have Maloney winning by decision. There's some value there at plus 160. I say that because I think both these guys are pretty tough. And I think in this situation, it could go either way. But I'm going to lead over to Maloney outboxing Astrolabio. But I think Astrolabio is going to have some moments in this fight as well where he is going to land some heavy, big shots. I just don't know. Like, his power is not like Inoue's. Right.
Yeah.
I think his power is something that we're going to be able to see in this fight. But I think Jason Maloney also learned from that Inoue fight. And you could tell that based on the fights he's had since then. So I like Jason Maloney by decision at plus 160. Also, if you haven't seen the interview yet, make sure to hit up our YouTube channel, or also if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts or shows, definitely hit us up and listen to it on there because Jason Maloney gave us a generous amount of time and he talked about fighting Inoue. He, made his picks against him and Stephen Fulton, also talked about Devin Haney and Lomachenko. So this
and sparring Lomachenko, which
yes. So definitely go check out that interview because he gave some gems on that episode. But before we get out of here, Bryan, any final thoughts on this? I guess the fights this weekend and the betting. Any last minute bets that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, so we gave you some good options. You're taking Maloney on points. That's in that plus 160 range. I'm taking Maloney money line minus 140 with a sprinkle on the Maloney KO at plus 380. The books have Astrolabio by knockout at plus 260. If you feel like he's going to get to Maloney, I don't think he is, but I do think it can be a close fight.
I think that's worth a sprinkle though.
Yeah. Right? It's not crazy. You could talk me into that one. I just think Maloney's going to win this fight, but you can talk me into if you really thought Astrolabio was going to win the fight. That's probably how he would do it. I don't think he's going to outbox him and win on points. I think it would have to be by knockout. So if you think Astrolabio wins it, then that's probably how he gets it done. Astrolabio also has the age advantage. He's 26. Maloney's 32. You know what I mean?
But that's why I think Maloney's going to be a little bit hungrier, right? Because he's not going to get too many chances after this, because he's had those chances. So this is like do or die for Jason Maloney.
Yeah.
Like he has to win this fight because this is his shot. And then it kind of sets up, I think it sets up him and, you know, Emmanuel Rodriguez going at it later on in the future. And I think that's a fight that we all want to see in this division.
Unless Emmanuel Rodriguez fights for the vacant IBF, which it looked like he was going to do against Astrolabio at one point, and now, you know, it may be somebody else. But we'll see what happens there. I would love to see that, because I think whoever wins this and Manny Rodriguez are probably the best bantamweights in the division right now. So, yeah. But those are our bets. That's the card. And next week is Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko week, and we will also look at Katie Taylor, Shantelle Cameron. We cannot sleep on that fight. I don't like that they're on the same day, because I wish that we can devote more time equally. But listen, Katie Taylor, Shantelle Cameron's a great fight. But we're going to preview the shit out of that, and we're going to preview the shit out of Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko. 2 great fights next week.
Yeah, so we got a lot of heat coming on the mandatory. If you like the video, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much for rocking with us. And leave some comments. Let us know how you're going to be betting on the fights this weekend. And before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you to everyone that already has subbed and has been leaving comments. We got a few guys that continue to leave comments. And obviously, we really appreciate that. Bryan, any final thoughts for the supporters for the mandatory?
Yeah, just keep it up. We need it. We need it because YouTube is they be playing games with us sometimes, but we appreciate the platform, so I'm not going to talk shit. Subscribers going up, followers going up a little bit, and more importantly, the watch time. Like, people are sticking with us, so we appreciate that. Again, in it for a long haul. The show of today is not the show of tomorrow, because we're going to have a lot more as we grow this platform. We've only been doing this for about 3 months at this point, and we like how things are going, and it feels like longer because the plan for this was developed damn near a year ago. But we're here, and we appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
Yeah, and for the viewers that are watching this on YouTube that didn't get to hear the audio side, Bryan Fonseca is a Heat fan, and he lives in New York. So I thought I'd throw that in there. I thought I'd throw that in there. But hey, listen, we don't have enough time. I have a hard out, okay? I got to get out of here. Bryan's a Heat fan.
Not giving me any time to defend myself.
We out. Bryan's a Heat fan. Bye, guys.